Hey Space Watchers, this is Space Café Radio, your channel about trends, awesome events and interesting people in the space sector. Today I'm talking with Bertrand Goldman, Associate Professor at the ISU, the International Space University in Strasbourg. Bertrand and I talked just before the IEC in Baku, where many young talents will evaluate their options about their next career move. Education, more precise, interdisciplinary space education is usually very high on their list. 14 years ago, when I got the chance to attend one of the ISU programs, I was happy that I had a mentor that told me about this unique opportunity. Today, we will continue the story in telling you what is new at the ISU and why you should consider that choice, potentially. I'm Thorsten, publisher of SpaceWatch.Global. Enjoy our conversation. Bertrand, thank you very much for your time. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Thorsten. Very good. Yourself?
Not so bad. It's a Friday, so what can go wrong on a Friday?
Indeed.
Let's talk about the role of education and the scarcity of workforce and how the ISU is prepared for that. But to get it in context, the space sector is booming towards the $1 trillion market, as we all know and heard here, there, and then. So there is obviously a need for a skilled workforce. As I'm an ISU alumni for over a decade, I would say ISU is very well positioned in the sector. But how do you see the current environment and the current challenges in terms of workforce?
Yeah, and thanks for that question. I think that's quite right that, as you said, the sector is booming. And then there will be need for more people, just simply as that. But I think it's not just some random workforce that the sectors need. And there's capacities in the sector that needs to be addressed. And I think this is quite important that there are some institutions, particularly ISU, who do that. So address the specifics of the sector. So of course you need engineers and very skilled technicians. But on top of that, you need people who understand very broadly what they're talking about and what the project is about. Not just the specific and the very interesting details of the technology or the legal framework beyond it, but you also need people who can address different things, either themselves or being able to talk with the expert. And we can see that in the space sector, there is quite a trend and a boom as well of startups, for instance. I believe that, and we have seen along for alumni, startups that tend to start small. And when you have a small group of people who have to do many different things, from looking for funds, developing the technology, and checking the legal framework, then they need to be, each of them, be very versatile and be able to touch on different topics. So I believe this is exactly what ISU is doing. So helping students who come to us with already quite some expertise, but typically very specific and specialized, and that's great. But then we need them the tools that they need to be able to interact with others, and whether they are people from different work culture or a different discipline area, or work with them, or maybe do those works, those tasks that they haven't been trained to do before that.
I think we will come to the programs that you're offering in a bit. So ISU has this, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 35 years of history. What's new this year? What's new in 2023 at the ISU in terms of the programs, the faculty, and the way forward? Because there is an international competition now also on that sector.
Yeah, we actually feel that. And competition is good to make you grow and change. And indeed, I think ISU has been evolving over time. So I've joined just a few years ago, so I might not have witnessed everything. It's brought more attention to some topics like, entrepreneurship, for instance. Or exploration. I mean, exploration has been around for a while, but there is also now a boom in terms of technology in this domain. Or new technology like AI, for instance. That's quite important. So we are addressing those changing, and I believe that the way that ISU functions with a core team of experts, like I hope myself and my colleagues, but also quite a few people who, for various reasons, decided that ISU was really something to support the organization, the students, and they come to us, and that allows us to reach out for new expertise and explore new domains, whether it is new technology or new areas, the legal areas or business development. We are able to attract the experts of those emerging fields. So that gives us quite a flexibility. That's one thing. And then the other thing is a format. So the format of the program, they also have to evolve as the needs of the students evolve. So the constraints that they have to face, whether it's from how many days of vacation you can take, or whether you actually can move to Strasbourg or not, and for how long, etc. So that the needs and also the desires of the student body changes. And then we have to evolve with that. So yeah, as you said, our programs are evolving, whether it's in durations, we have new programs. So definitely we do that. And especially in recent years.
It's good to hear. Let's talk about the next course. I think the MSc is on the horizon again. What is unique in that specific course for this specific education? Maybe you can go deeper into that.
Yeah, so we are building upon the experience of more than 25 years of the Master of Space Studies that have been taking place in Strasbourg. That was a program of both really a bit of a professional master, a bit of a postmaster. And now, over the past couple of years, we are taking it into not completely new direction, but really a new ambition. And particularly, so we have been interacting with an accreditation agency, and those people, they are really keen to put some constraints on the educators and the organization to make sure that they deliver the best education. And so we have been interacting with this agency, as in from Germany, to ensure that a program is recognized, and also our students, the graduates, are recognized for the value. Getting that stance, that's important. And that came with a number of stimulating interactions with the agency. And what we really try to achieve now, again, building on our experience, we're not starting from scratch, but building on that is maintaining a very interdisciplinary education. So as I said earlier, we have a number of skilled workers in the space sector. They need to have a broad understanding of what others are doing, or sometimes they need to be able to do it themselves. But also we recognize that delivering a high-level, master-level education is also what our students need and their employers. So we have this now combines those two requirements into a new program, a bit longer program of 18 months, 3 semesters, where the students, especially during the first semester, they will learn a lot about other disciplines that they have pretty much forgotten since high school. Sometimes the engineer will go back to what biology is and what it means in terms of human performance in space, as an example. And they will also work together very strongly during this phase where they learn from each other, they learn about each other disciplines. And that's the first semester where they really learn the principles of those different disciplines. And then in the second semester, then they engage on the one hand on very in-depth knowledge acquisition on the field that is of interest to them, whether it's business and then policy and law, or whether it's exploration and science, which would be my track, as we call them. So that's one part of the second semester, but the second part of the second semester is also very important, is a team project. And as you will remember from your studies at ASU, team project, that's really something that is at the core of ASU education, in the sense that we put students together, 20, 25 students from very different background, again, different culture, nationalities, and we put them to work on a topic that is very relevant and actual for the space sector. And on the one hand, they learn about that topic, of course, and they develop some good knowledge and again, in depth, but also they learn how to work together. And when they will go on in the work life and presumably work in larger teams than what they have done maybe during their bachelor or their previous master, where maybe they work with a couple of students. Now they're working in a group of 20 and 25, and yeah, that's an interesting exercise. And they all learn a lot from that, from each other, but also how to work with each other. So this is part of the second semester where they will invest their time. And then in the third semester, those students doing the accredited Master of Science, they will go on doing research. And it could be at ISU, on the ISU grounds, with one of the faculty members, whether it's on life science applied to the space environment, or astronomy, or business and law. Or they can go also in a research institution, which include academics, of course, university, but also space agency, for instance. We have quite research taking place maybe at ESA, that would be at ESTEC in the Netherlands, for instance, obviously at NASA, etc. And so they will do the research over there for 5-6 months and really develop the research skills and also continue to interact with the space sector and create for themselves opportunities.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Moving is right up there with death and divorce in the Stress Olympics.
But fear not. Turn that box of woes into a crate of woes with moving tips in the Life Beyond Boxes podcast with Premium Q Moving. Dive into the world of hassle-free moves, learn tips and tricks to save on cash and your sanity. Say goodbye to those moving meltdowns and hello to the smooth sailings, or should we say smooth movings? Tune into Life Beyond Boxes with Premium Q Moving on lifebeyondboxes.com or find us on your favorite podcast platform. And with us, unpack the secrets to a stress-free move.
Did I understood you correctly that the master course is accredited?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. It's one of the very few master in the space sector that has this accreditation. Am I right?
Yeah, especially when you consider courses that are interdisciplinary and you get aerospace engineering courses that are accredited for sure. But when it comes to interdisciplinary programs like us, we're quite unique.
That's really great. Another question for our audience. Can you give an example of one of these exciting team projects? In which direction can that go? Just to spark a little bit the imagination.
Let me just give you the example of the team project that our students will start to tackle in just a few weeks, especially as I have been a bit part of this idea. So this is about space and sustainability of the space sector. So we know that like all industries pretty much in all countries, the industry have more reporting to do and are being watched for the footprint. And there are requirements from the sponsors, from the investors. So the industry has to watch for that. There are demands from the public. Quite general. It's quite needed given the state of the planet. So that's something that students, but also the industry need to tackle. So that's the footprint. But that, of course, as we know, space has a great impact as well on activities and the reduction footprint, whether it's the acknowledgement and the study of the evolution of the Earth system, through observation monitoring, but also improving the way we work. Could be in the agriculture, for instance, or using telecommunication. And if we improve the way we work, we will decrease the footprint of those activities, the environmental footprint. This is what the students will tackle. So this is not quite finalized, but they will work together with a number of organizations that need to do this work, tackling the evaluation of the footprint of the space sector activities, but also the handprint, so the benefits, the environmental benefits. So the students will use their distinctive, diverse experience and skills, because those topics are very interdisciplinary. You have all disciplines that goes into those questions, whether this is engineering from the life cycle assessment part, but also space application, when you look at the benefits of the space sector, but also the legal framework is quite important in those areas and the legal constraints that are posed on the company. So they will be able to tackle all of that together. And I believe that they will all learn a lot, but also I'm sure that they will deliver a product that is useful to the companies and organizations they will work with.
I'm very impressed how practical these team projects are. So how relevant these team projects obviously evolved over the years now. So that's good to know. As an ISU alumni, I know you meet a lot of alumni wherever you go. Usually you have these big gatherings at all the big space shows worldwide. How would you position that network to the new students or to the people outside our sphere? How valuable is this network?
Yeah, I think maybe invaluable would be the right word. So yeah, it was very impressive as a previous IAC. I was there in Paris, and so there was an event. It was so crowded. I couldn't get into the room for 2 hours, and it was a large room. So you've got all those people attending the space conferences, the place where you have to be, depending on your field and your activity. And you keep bumping onto IS alumni. And that's very precious because, of course, it's the first step is already done. You don't have to prove your value, or you just explain that you have done ISU, and that creates already a common ground for discussion. Wherever the person is coming from, or whatever the field of activity is, will be able to engage with discussion. And we see this really all the time where alumni, first as a student at ISU, you will be able to reach to alumni, often in very interesting positions, from which we will be able to get knowledge and learn, benefit from the expertise. And that's the case, for instance, for team project. The first thing that we do is that we tell our students, reach out to that person, consider this organization, and you will find people who are ready to talk to you. And take 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes come to Strasbourg, and they will interact with you and make you benefit from the expertise. And when you're done with the program and you're graduating, then you keep having those relationships with your classmates, but also pretty much without anybody who has graduated with the ISU. That's very important.
What is your most beloved success story that you might share of an alumni? So who's your alumni of the ISU?
Thank you for making it personal. That's a good way to approach a success story that could be very many things. We know some people who have become very successful after leaving ISU, becoming astronaut. But I think there's all kinds of successes in life. And let me take the example of a dear student of mine. He has come to ISU as he was actually quite already trained. He had 2 masters that he got from his country in Argentina. And he came to ISU. So I think he got 2 things from ISU. First, a job in a very nice company that was funded by ISU in space. That's now close to Strasbourg. They have grown from 4 founders to 40 people now in a couple of years. So very successful story. And I think he loves his job. So that's one thing that he gained, I believe. But also a love for astronomy. He was my advisee and I taught him astronomy together with my colleague, Hugh Hill. And he did his research project during the master program. He did an internship at ESTEC, so the research center of ESA. Fortunately, it was online because of COVID, but still he learned a lot. And then he continued on doing his job 100% or more, but also working on his master thesis on the side. But I think he has learned a lot. His interests have developed towards science. He was an engineer, but on top of the technology that he applies in his job, then he has also this other interest. I think it's that would be to me a nice example.
I had the pleasure to have representatives from Lean Space on various panels globally and interview them. And it's a remarkable story.
If I may, this company first, now it's near Strasbourg, but before that, when it started, it was at ISU, in the ISU building. They were incubating there until they had to push the walls and they had to leave.
You read my mind for my next question. So how does the ISU support startups and new ideas? You have this melting pot of creativity and here, there, and then new ideas coming out. So what is the next step? How can ISU support them?
I think we support entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurship spirit of our students in several ways. And first of all is education. Let's start with that. There is a course of the program and there's a whole part of the program that is dedicated to learn how management work, get management skills, investments, how do you raise funds, again, the legal framework. So during the education, they get that exposure, but also through hands-on activities. So in particular, there is an advanced study module within the program that has been running for quite a few years, where the students basically over a course of 2 weeks develop a business plan. But to reach this, again, they interact with experts. So we bring experts, whether it's from investment part or the legal sector, where the students can interact and work on their business plan together with those experts. So it really ends on activity and then the defense of business planning. And some of those business plans, actually, that's a bit of an educational exercise, but then they go on and put it to work. And I believe that the most famous of those business plans that have evolved into a real thing is Planet, studied at ISU as an exercise, educational exercise during this advanced study module. The other thing is the incubator. I think you learn a lot by example. And on the 3rd floor of the building, we have several companies that are incubated there. And for the students, it's very easy to just go up and meet the people working there, the founders sometimes, or the employees. And they really show them what step you need to take, what pitfalls to avoid. So that's also quite powerful. And quite a number of students that have done their internship from the program in an incubated company at ISU. And then again, I will just come back to that again, the network. When you have a network of experts, people who know about funding and might have their own capacities. We have for other programs, so short programs, executive space course, for instance, we have people from investment banks, like European Investment Bank, for instance, coming to ISU, taking the program. And they learn about ISU, they meet the students who are around at that time, and that gives them a good feeling of what ISU is, what ISU delivers. And I think that gives them a more careful ear when they get requests from ISU alumni.
Thanks God, COVID is, at least for the moment, over. So that means you will have students in Strasbourg at the campus. Let's talk about living in Strasbourg. How is it?
Yeah, so it's a middle-sized city of 400,000 inhabitants, depending on how you count. So it's not too large, and it's also not too small. Applying at ISU, you become a student. Also, actually, we have an agreement with a nearby University of Strasbourg, which is a very large university of 50,000 students. Mm-hmm. You get that status, and that allows you to access dormitories and rooms of the national organization. Okay, I'm not saying that it's always easy peasy, but you get this access and those right. To get accommodation in Strasbourg is actually something that you can manage. It's not London, no. You can make sure you're living in Strasbourg. The campus is a bit outside of the city. It's very quiet, but it's also very accessible. You can be downtown with a tram, biking. That's what I do. It's quite comfortable. And we are actually very nicely located. The campus is a lively place and we have a very nice building. So living in Strasbourg is, I think as a student, you can spend your whole time working on the program, but also if you have some spare time, you can definitely enjoy life in Strasbourg, which is a fine city.
But of course, the focus is working.
Yeah, for sure.
And studying. That's why you're here. Let's talk about money. So what options are available as scholarships for the students?
We have some scholarship that relates to nationality and nationality in the space sector. That's a big thing. So that's one thing. So we have, for instance, a scholarship available for members of ESA countries. But at ISU, we want to be international. And so that's not sufficient for us. So we have other ways to support students or help them get scholarship. And sometimes that's through international organization, SGIC, for instance, or Women in Aerospace. So members of those organizations, they get some support, some reduction in tuition from ISU, from agreement with those organizations. And also, if you have no other options because of your nationality, so we also grant our tuition supports. So that will be related to academic merit, but not just that, because a program are very diverse, our students are very diverse. I mentioned the disciplines, but also the work experience. So we have students coming out of the bachelor, they have little professional experience, but they for sure have academic merit. But also we have students who have left academia for 20 years and they have developed their career, whether in the space sector or outside of the space sector. And we take this professional experience in account very much and actually bring a lot to the program always. Depending on where you come from and what you have done before, you may be eligible for those tuition support.
Our students can then just get in contact with the ISU and get some recommendation and some guidance on that, I assume.
Absolutely. Right? So some support will just go through ISU somewhat transparently. Sometimes they have to reach out, but for sure we give quite some support to our candidates.
My last question is, one of the programs of the ISU, of the soul of the ISU, is the SSP. So what's on the horizon for 2024? And I think I remember you just recently announced the next SSP then in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
In Houston itself, yeah. So I think that will be a very exciting SSP, space study program. So taking place a bit earlier than before because of local constraints. So starting already in June. And yes, that will be located in Houston. And we trust that we will get quite some attention and access to lots of local resources. We believe that we will have many people who are interested to come either to attend the program, but also to support the program, visiting lecturers. So I definitely have confidence that it will be a very rich experience for everyone involved.
I would say if you consider a career in space and you have the chance to go to Houston for a program, I think that's a place to be.
Yeah, it's a nice starting point. So one of the things that we do during our programs, or all programs, the summer program and the master program is professional visits. So we arrange with local contacts to visit very many different places, whether it's around Strasbourg for the master or around Houston. And I think that would be interesting as well.
Thank you very much for your time, Bertrand. It was so exciting to hear what's new on the ISU side and about this program. And good luck and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Wilson. Always nice to speak with an anonymous.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. If you have further questions, reach out to us at radio@SpaceWatch.Global. If you like these or other episodes of Space Café Radio, leave us a rating on your preferred podcast platform. It is the currency of today. And if you want to stay on the pulse of the space industry, please visit our website at www.SpaceWatch.Global and subscribe to our newsletters. And of course, don't forget to become a Space Watcher. I'm Thorsten Triening, publisher at SpaceWatch.Global, your independent perspective on space.